Hey everyone, welcome to a new OpenRCT2 Tycoon 2 speedrun. In this video I will do a speedrun of all the Wacky Worlds scenarios. Now I already tested all of them and they're all quite simple, especially even the expert parks. They all have quite straightforward objectives. Probably only this one, Rollercoaster, will take a little bit longer, because there you have to build 10 different types of roller coasters, each with a minimum length of 1000 meters and excitement of at least 7. Anyway, without further ado, let's start the run. So 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so this is the first park. You need to get a certain park value. So for that I'll just build this wooden roller coaster. We'll use the design in another park as well. You may recognize this design from my Rollercoaster Tycoon 2 speedrun. Let's test it and let's paint it purple. Now we don't really need a very long path here. As overcrowding is not usually an issue in these scenarios. So let's save it with paths. Okay. Now we'll just increase our loan. This scenario offers a really big one, so we don't really have to worry about money anymore. We'll play at the lowest speed here, just so these coasters don't lose value. Well, not that much at least. And now we can just spam these until we win the scenario. It's a park value scenario, so we can just keep them in test mode and we don't really have to care about guest happiness in this scenario. The park value is based on the, well, for part on the stats of your rides. So building rides with high stats will really help towards your park value. So that's why this coaster is helpful for that. Okay, let's increase the speed a bit. There we go. First scenario beaten in 3.5 minutes. Not bad. Okay, this is a scenario where you cannot let the park value drop below 700, or the park rating, I mean. So we'll need to build a coaster right off the bat, so it doesn't drop below it. Well, it doesn't stay below it for too long. Let's put it like that. Okay. So that's our first coaster. We'll make a path right here. We'll make some shops and stalls here, just to satisfy the needs of our guests. Let's also put one of these. And now we'll just keep spamming coasters. There's no advertisements in these no money scenarios, so we'll just have to spam coasters to get those guests into our park. Now overcrowding will become an issue in this park because the space we have here is quite limited, so we'll have to expand into other areas. Let's remove all the scenery. Just so it doesn't get in our way. Of course, there's no money, so we won't make any money off it. But that's not the reason for doing it here. I'll just connect a few extra paths, just so that peeps have more space to go. And then we'll just add more of these. Now, I should add lots of staff. Or else the paths will get messy. And let's hire an army of entertainers as well. It's quite funny to look at that army of entertainers walking around in this square. And other staff members, of course. Let's add these two little areas here. They seem like nice locations to spam more rides. So that's what we will do. Oops. Okay, let's see how the guests like this park. Should have enough paths for the guests to spread out into. There we go. May have overdone it a bit with number of roller coasters, but no biggie. Okay, first thing we do is we hire some handymen, because peeps will make a big mess in this park if we don't. We'll open all the rides that are there. And here we'll place, guess what? Corkscrew roller coasters. So we need 1,000 guests. So this, we don't have the corkscrew roller coaster trains in this park, but these limousine trains will work just as well. That doesn't work. We can have a big loan here, so I won't bother with the park entrance fee. Okay, I think we can do the rest with advertisements. Okay. Alright, Sugarloaf Shores. So we'll need to make this park profitable. What we'll do first is remove all the balloons and buildings here, and then we'll get a lot of money. Now we could also remove the paths here, but we'll keep them for now. Another thing we'll do is we'll fire all these entertainers and replace them with several handymen, just to keep our paths pretty. And we want to research roller coasters until we get, guess what, the corkscrew roller coaster. Alright, now we just need to place a few of these so we get the required park rating. And then we pay back our loan and we win the scenario. Okay, African diamond mine. Now, if you like the scenery on this map a lot, you may want to look away now. Cover your eyes, because I'm getting rid of all of it. And that gives us a buckload of money. And now we'll research the corkscrew roller coaster. Meanwhile, I'll put some stuff. Let's increase the park entrance fee a little bit. We have a lot of money, so we don't need to put it to 40 yet. Need 1,000 guests, I think. Or was it 900? Well, not that many, at least. This won't work. I switched to the Rollercoaster Tycoon 1 style traffic lights for opening and closing the rides. Was a tip from Thai Eggman, and I think it really helps. It's a lot faster because you only have to click once, open a ride, as opposed to the Rollercoaster Tycoon 2 style with the flags. Oh yeah, it's just a little bit faster for every ride that you build. Okay, this shoot. Oops. I should probably do something about this. The paths are getting very, very messy. And that's not good for the park rating. Okay, there we go. Asia Maharaja Palace. This scenario can be quite tricky. I already blew a run before on this scenario, so I'll try to take it easy this time. The first thing we'll do is we'll clear out this area, hire some handymen and some mechanics. And now we'll have to research roller coasters until we get the wooden roller coaster. And there we have it. And now we'll need to change these trains to 10. Then we'll resave the design, because we don't have any other cars available here. So we'll need to use these cars, but these cars are shorter than the other ones, so we'll need to add cars here, or else it won't get any desirable stats. Can add one more of these. And now we'll quickly add some stalls. We'll increase the umbrella price just to bring out those guests whenever it starts raining, because we can use the money in this scenario. Okay, now we'll wait until we can build another one of these coasters. Which again should bring in more guests, and that in turn should bring in more money. Let's start a little advertisement, because this should pay back for itself. Damn, just not enough space here. This should do. Okay, now that we have some more money, we can hire a few extra handymen, some mechanics. We don't want that one. No, we want a wooden coaster. Maybe I should have put a photo section on this ride, but we'll manage without it. No, it's going to be quite expensive to remove these trees, but I think it's better if we clear out this area. Okay, we should now be able to get some extra guests. Okay, and we'll do the final push with advertisements. Look how much money is coming in now. Really the first part of this scenario where it sometimes can get a little bit tricky. You may run out of money, but the later half is quite straightforward. Ayers Rock. Now, there's a long path here to the back of the park. Overcrowding will not really be an issue. We have enough shops and stalls. I'll just put some extra mechanics and handymen. I'll increase the park entry, which is not there, so I don't need to. And guess what I'll do? I'll spam corkscrew coasters. But these have eel cars. Conger eel cars. But just like the other versions, they will just work fine with this track layout. And they'll even add a little bit of excitement to the original ride design. Oh, there's a really long path in this park, so we can just keep adding these wherever we want. I forgot what the goal was. 1500 guests, so we'll need a lot of these. Not enough cash. Well, let's have a loan then. And the loan we can have here is also ridiculously high. These Wacky World scenarios often look really pretty, but the gameplay in them is I mean, they're probably fun when you play them casually. I don't know. It would have probably been nicer if Wacky Worlds actually added some game mechanics instead of just scenery and just different vehicles. Would have been nice also if they added some actual new rides to the game. Well, it was done by these expansions were not done by Chris Sawyer himself, if I remember correctly, and that's also why some of the scenery looks it looks different from the sprites that Simon Foster made. It's most easily noticeable in the fountains that were added in this expansion pack. They look really different compared to the ones that were originally in the game, and I think the styles clash a bit. Okay, this should be more than enough. Let's speed up a bit. Let's do some advertisements. It's getting quite crowded here, but hopefully not too much. There we go. And we can do the next one. It's Europe, the European Cultural Festival. Now we have tons of handymen here who are set to mow the lawn. We don't care about the grass getting trimmed, so we'll just not do that. We'll remove some of these buildings. Probably could have done a better job in that, because removing all those trees cost me a lot of money. Okay, we have some money now. So guess what we will do now? We don't have the corkscrew coaster yet here, so we'll have to research it. It's always a bit difficult for me to spot the corkscrew coaster, especially that they have different trains in this expansion pack, but in this scenario uses the original trains. There's plenty of space for us to spam these. No, let's not place American Scream Machine. It's a little bit too big for our park. This scenario is really poorly designed with all these areas that are separated by unowned land. But actually in OpenRCT2 Tycoon 2, the developers were nice enough to add some bridges in between, just so these areas can be actually connected by paths, which lead to less guests having trouble finding their way in the park. So that's really appreciated. We'll increase the entry price so we don't run out of money while the guests come pouring into the park. No. Again, I tried to place the American Scream Machine. No, these taxis, they don't really add many guests to the park. So we'll replace them with roller coasters, and that will have a bigger effect if I place them on the ground, that is. Okay, this should be enough. We need 2,000 guests. I'll place a bit more just to be sure. Let's already start some advertisements. Good thing this park is so spread out, because that means overcrowding will be less of an issue in this park. Let's scroll to the outside of the map, just so we can fast forward with a little bit less lag. We just need a little bit more guests. Okay. Okay, Rollercoaster heaven. This is a no money scenario. And we'll need to put 10 roller coasters, each with the excitement rating of at least 7 and a length of at least 1000. We cannot change any of the research options, but we don't need to, as we have all the roller coasters we need. We need to put 10. The reverse freefall coaster, well, we cannot make that one high enough. So let's first remove all the rides that we can remove. We'll also remove the stalls. Because we don't need those. All we need is mechanics. Okay, let's start off with Woody. That's over 1,000 meters. One that doesn't take too much space. Cyclone. Okay, let's make a path to the exit. Yes, so mechanics can still visit it. Okay, and that will be our first ride done. Corkscrew coaster. Let's see if there's one over 1,000 meters. Seal sliding. We need over 7. Yeah, seal sliding. I'll take it. Too high for support. Damn. Actually, let's just remove some of the paths here. Okay, this one's built to the limit. Let's try a different one. slippery seals, Viper. Okay, we'll use Octavator and we'll just modify it to be the length that we need. So here at the end we have this little block break section. There, that should make it do what we need it to do. Okay, excitement rating almost high enough. So what we'll do now is we'll just spam some scenery around. And that should kick it over the limit. Okay. Next one. Let's make a steel twister coaster. Flightmare should do. Okay, let's test it. Make some paths. Okay, that's another one done. It's 3. Now we'll want to go for number 4, a hyper twister. These will do. Let's go with verticulator because it doesn't take much space. And it fits nicely in the corner here. Very high. And a nice long queue. Perfect. That's 4. We want a Giga coaster. Let's not do this one. Let's go for Ice Chaser. Okay, like that. Okay, that's another one. These ones are difficult to get the right excitement. So what we'll do is we'll take one of these and just extend it to suit our needs. So let's make it pass by this other coaster nice and nice and close. Oops. Okay, let's quickly test it. Okay, we're almost at the required excitement rating. We'll fix that with some paths, if we can do that. Another thing we could do is see if we can make it pass through a loop. That's a bit tricky. Okay, we probably don't have enough clearance here. Let's see if we can do it this way. Like that. And let's spam scenery as well around it. This should also give us some bonus. And run some path over it as well. Actually, I have another good idea. This is probably also an easy way to increase the excitement. We'll just add an inversion to the track. Let's try it out. 6.92. There's still room for another inversion, so let's do that. Okay. 6.97. And there's a few other tricks we can use. Water. Okay, it's exactly 7 now. Is the length Oh, the right length is not quite there yet. Okay. Perfect. Okay, that took quite a bit of time. Next one, Empire Express. Let's build Empire Express and then try to increase the excitement rating a little bit. So what's our no need to increase it. Perfect. Flying coaster. Mystic Flight. And we'll need to extend the length of it a bit by around 300 meters. So that's what we'll do now. Let's put a piece of chain lift here so it can keep some speed while going around here. This, I think this is enough. Okay, let's check it out. This is good enough. Okay, add a flying coaster, a draft, and we'll also need to extend this one quite a bit. "200 meters, but at least it gets the excitement rating it needs. Oops, it's still going at quite a high speed here. Oof. Let's solve it this way and hope it has enough speed here. got trolled by the perspective again. I can always add a chain lift here, just to be sure. I'll put 2 trains just to be sure that everything goes right here. Okay, perfect. Let's make a path for our mechanics and the guests, but I don't particularly care about those in this scenario. Okay, that's another one done. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we need one more. And we'll use the multi-dimension roller coaster for that. And we'll just extend it right before the chain lift. Okay, let's test it. Okay, it's just the right excitement, and that wins us the scenario. I'm glad that one is done. Okay, Inca Lost City. 1500 guests. We cannot let the park rating drop below 1500. So we'll have to immediately build rides, or else we will suffer. Good thing we have this wooden roller coaster design. This will save us here. And we'll immediately build some shops and some drink stalls. Guests can enjoy some coffee here. Okay, and now we'll slowly increase the speed while keeping a close eye on our park rating. Now we'll put maximum funding, we'll research roller coasters, and let's hope for this park rating to rise quickly. Usually in the original game, these scenarios where you cannot let the park rating drop come with pre-built rides, but this one doesn't. Which makes it a little bit more tricky in the beginning. Thankfully, in the beginning of the scenario, you can have it be below 700 for a while, but later in the scenario, usually you can only have it for that few in-game weeks. Okay, so yeah, now I get this warning about the park rating. Let's hope it rises quickly. Three weeks remaining. It's 650, 625. This could be close. Okay, let's quickly try again. Oh, that's the wrong scenario. So we'll try again. This scenario, the beginning is always a bit tricky. But this time, make the path just so that guests are led into the roller coaster. That should do the trick. So, as you may know, guests prefer to go straight on a junction, so right now they will walk straight into this roller coaster. That should do the trick. And guests riding will get happier, etc. And that should increase the park rating. And I'll also build an information kiosk. Increase the speed a little bit. Now, some of the guests already came in. Park rating is for a big part influenced by the happiness of the guests. Let's also put some entertainers. So that should help. When entertainers walk near guests, they will increase their happiness by a little bit. So that's really useful. Now for this scenario, only really the start is tricky. And as you just saw, I failed it once. But once you get past this first hurdle, it should be easy. Okay, I'm getting the warnings already, but the park rating is increasing above 700 now. So now we're safe. It may dip a few more times, but should not be any more issues. What we'll do now is we'll do our research. I'll also build a gentle ride for the this scenario is rough. Okay, our number of guests is now slowly increasing. The park rating is stabilizing around 700. Also, one thing that influences the park rating is the number of guests in your park. I will wait for it to slowly increase. We can now remove some of the entertainers just to ease the amount of money we pay on wages. And I will wait for a little bit of extra guests to enter, just so we can make a little bit more money. Okay, the number of guests is now increasing quite a bit. What I'll do now is a trick to make more guests walk into the other roller coasters. I think we can sell one or two of them just so we get more money. Since guests prefer to walk straight, now more of them will walk into this second roller coaster. And I'll also increase the entrance fee a bit. And that should earn us more money. This scenario can be quite rough, as you can see. But I've reached the point where I'm making money, and I failed it again. So, normally when playing casually, this scenario is not that difficult. Let's try this approach with the pods once again. Okay. No, we don't want too much staff, because we'll run out of money, and we don't want that. So this way we'll keep our guests off the paths and into our rides. I think one issue is also that the intensity of this coaster is quite high. So what we'll do now is we'll add a carousel or merry-go-round for the guests who prefer a lower intensity. And that should keep them happy as well. Okay. This shows why you should practice scenarios often before you do a speedrun. The first time I did this scenario, I beat it quite easily, but you can see how a little dip in the park rating can already ruin this scenario for you. Okay, the guests keep coming in now. So now we can add some food shops. We'll also add an enterprise. As they always have good ratings. And that should entertain some more guests. Okay, 691. Okay, we're over 700 now. And let's not assume we're safe this time. So now we'll want to maximize our funding. And we'll try to research the looping coaster as soon as possible. Okay, the number of guests is slowly increasing, and so is our park rating, which is good. But of course we cannot assume we're safe in this scenario. Let's also build a toilet. Okay, we cannot build any more coasters at this point, so I'll add some more other attractions. Okay, park rating is growing quite well, that's good. This first part is getting a bit too crowded for my taste. So we'll guide the guests to the next one. And we'll have to add some handymen, because it's getting very messy here at the beginning of the park, near the entrance. And litter really is a bad thing for your park rating. And vomit also counts as litter, so you'll want to prevent having that in your park. Okay, the second queue is now also filling up nicely. Let's build a junior coaster. And we'll want to make station 1 longer. Okay. This should also enjoy some of our guests. Maybe a little bit too high intensity. Okay, we're nearing our goal now. Thankfully, need to have 1500 guests, and we're making money now, which is good. So now we'll just add paths and add coasters. I kind of don't want to do advertisement campaigns now yet, because having more guests here now will for sure drop down the park rating. I can already see it dropping because of all the messy paths in this area. Problem with these scenarios is really that you have to take them, you have to really be careful for your park rating. Okay, looping roller coaster finally. So okay, let's make it purple. Oof. Okay, now I'll build a few more of these, and that should win me the scenario. Okay, what I'll do now is I'll make some extra paths just to handle some of the extra incoming guests. Because overcrowding is bad for the happiness of the guests and the park rating. And you can see the number of guests rising quickly now. So we'll do the final push with some advertisements. And that should win us the scenario, if we're lucky. Let's add some rides for the guests right here, and we finally won this scenario. So yeah, that scenario took me 3 tries, sadly, but overall it wasn't too bad. I think in a next run should try to I should try to make a roller coaster with a little less intensity, I think. That should really help. Okay, this remove all the scenery here, and the loan you can have in this park is insanely high. Need 1500 guests in year 5. Now this scenario is very easy, I think. Already has some rides for us. So, and we have the corkscrew coaster right off the bat. So, and we need the guests in year 5. So, insanely high loan. This scenario is probably a bit too low on the list. Probably more of a beginner park. And what I mean by low on the list is that usually the expert parks are lower in the list. And at the top are the beginner parks. We need any staff. Let's hire a few of each flavor. So yeah, this speedrun already has lots of room for improvement, especially at the scenario that I tried before this one. It's a shame that I failed it twice, but that's yeah, shit happens. But I'm so far into this run that I don't want to completely start over, so that's why I'll finish this run now. And I'll just do my best at the other scenarios. So, just add rides. The amount of money you get in this scenario is so insane that you don't really have to worry about it. Oops. Okay, let's invite some guests. I guess a lot of them are stuck in this part. Yeah, never mind. We'll just need to get them to this area. And we'll convince them by building more rides here. Okay, this should be plenty. I'll just start advertisements now. I should have done that earlier because I have so much money. And we'll just wait for the guests to pour in. I just hope they don't get stuck in this area and overcrowd here too much. Okay. Perfect. Okay. This scenario is the second expert scenario, but it's laughably easy. So we need to get to certain park rating here. So what we'll do, we spam these, we put them in test mode until we beat the scenario. Again, we'll play this one at the slowest speed, just so we're sure the coasters don't lose any value, because they lose value over time. And they will quickly add value to the park. And we should win this one quite quickly this way. And we need 200,000 park value. I think we're almost there. There we go. Japanese coastal reclaim Asia. So what we'll do here is we'll make some paths into the water. We'll make another path a bit further here. Okay, and then we have this, what's it called? I think it's a bullet coaster, Japanese bullet train. And we spam it. That's really all there is to this scenario. We need 2,500 guests, which is a lot. So we'll build a ton of these. Thankfully there's already plenty of rides to start with. And the park entrance fee is quite high. So money should not be a concern. Okay, now we'll need some extra handyman. Take care of all this mess that the peeps are leaving here. Should probably also have some security guards, because there's a lot of stuff here that is breakable, and we'll want to prevent that. It's already happening here. So this is also a function that was added in OpenRCT2 Tycoon 2, which is also in Classic. So if you press I, then you can see all the path issues, which is very helpful if you're trying to repair vandalism. Okay, it's getting quite crowded here in this area. This sometimes happens. So what I'll do now is just add some paths here and some extra paths. Just to spread out our peeps, because 2500 guests is a huge amount. I need more handymen. I have too many windows open. Making it laggy. Lag bad. We will just spread them out a little bit more. Okay, let's do the final push with advertisements. Okay, now I'll just keep adding them while the advertisements are running. Well, if we didn't have enough, we have enough now for sure. Okay, next scenario. Australasia, fun at the beach. Okay. First thing we'll do here is delete all the scenery, delete all the rides. We'll leave the shops. Delete all the paths. Okay, now we have a ton of money. And now it's easy to get the goals of 2200 guests in year 5. Oops. Okay, let's do this first. We already have the corkscrew coaster, the eel. What do we pay? We pay for the park entrance fee. I should not do that. Handyman. I sometimes accidentally press S instead of C, which brings up the staff menu. With the Z button you can rotate your coasters, and that's actually what I wanted to do. But yeah, sometimes I press the wrong button. Oops. So yeah, guest goal is quite high, so we'll build a ton of these. I can make a path here. Then I can just make them intertwine. That looks pretty. Oh, I need to extend the path like this. My bad. No, it's not too bad to have some extra path for the guests to walk on. Sort of looks like they're arm wrestling now. The corkscrew coasters, I mean. Maybe it's just my imagination. Okay, we'll want some extra paths, so I'll make that here. And we can spam some extra coasters here as well. Okay, I probably have more rides than I need, so it's a good time now to... Let's first run some ads. Again, you can use the scroll wheel on this field to increase the value, which is a lot faster than clicking the plus buttons. I'll just add some paths now. As long as your path leads somewhere, so for example to another path, guests will use it, but they typically won't use dead end paths. So these paths, they really lead in a loop, and that will lead to guests actually considering using them, which is good. Because the more guests are spread out, the less overcrowding becomes an issue. Let's see at what number it stabilizes here. We have until year 5, so we don't have to worry too much that we overshoot our objective goal for the year. Okay, the number of guests is dropping again, so I'm guessing overcrowding is becoming an issue now. The goal is quite high, so I'm not too surprised actually. So what we'll do is we'll add some rides here. Just so guests have another area to go to. Let's remove the scenery here. No, I probably need some more handymen. We're earning enough money so we can pay for that. I never really bother with litter bins, really. Because they can be destroyed by guests, and then you'll have to repair them. And that's bothersome. Okay. Paths leading to nowhere. And then we'll do some more advertisements. Let's see if this does the trick. I'll add one of these wooden coasters here as well. Just because it has a long queue, so it will keep some guests off the path. That's not the C button. Do we have any shops and stalls? Yes, we do. I'm running out of cash. Let's see if we can put an ATM here. We should keep them in the park for longer. It will hurt our income, but I'm not too worried about it. Okay. Okay, I think we need to expand more and trap more guests in our queues. Oh. I think it will fit nicely here. Let's see if we can, yeah, this part is really crowded. So we should probably put some stalls in other areas as well. So that's what we'll do. And this should stop the guests from all assembling in the center area, where they will then complain of overcrowding. And then in turn leaving the park. That's not good. Another OpenRCT2 feature is that it will automatically, well, it's an option, but automatically open shops and stalls for you, which is really nice, I think. Okay, done. 3 scenarios remaining. This one, Europe, Renovation. Now, first thing we'll do is remove everything in the park. Everything. Just gone. Alright, just shops. Let's just remove everything. Now we'll make a path. Okay, I can actually see what goes. Okay, repay your loan, achieve park value of 150,000. So we didn't even need to make the path. We'll just I'll repay the loan first, and now I'll just spam looping roller coasters. Put them in test mode until we reach 150,000 park value. And that shouldn't take too long. In Time Twister, actually removing most of the scenery costs money. And that will make the scenarios in that expansion pack a lot more difficult. But yeah, I guess this was an oversight from the developers that you can just make yourself rich by removing scenery in all these most of these scenarios, because they put a lot of scenery, and especially in this one, the amount of money you can make at the beginning is ridiculous. Okay, this should be enough. There we go. Expert scenario. Okay, North America, extreme Hawaiian island. Okay, this one's a bit tricky as well. Peeps here like attractions with an intensity of at least 9. So we'll have to take our beloved corkscrew coaster and use the design I also used in my Rollercoaster Tycoon 2 playthrough. I hope it fits here. I think it does. Okay. We'll make a loop here and S-bend to the right, and then we'll make a queue here. Okay. This should actually let me the photo section. Okay, we cannot borrow too much money here. Okay, this is a perfect track design for this scenario. So we'll save it now. Connect it to our path. And now we wait for the guests to arrive and give me their money. The landscape here can be a bit tricky sometimes, especially for placing paths. Okay, we'll just build it like this. Okay. $1,100 guests at the end of year 5. That should not be too difficult. Problem here is running out of money, so we'll need to prevent that. You don't need to do any more research, so we can cut off that funding. And now we'll just wait for our guests to ride our coasters and have a fun time. Okay, quite a few of them are entering now. Let's jack up the price a bit. And look at all that money coming in. And now we'll have to wait a bit and we can build another one. Okay, we'll probably want more guests to walk to this next area. So we'll make the path like this. So guests coming from here will now prefer to walk straight, and they won't all try to enter this full queue. And they'd rather walk to the other ones, which is good. And if we just continue like this, we should beat this scenario in not too much time at all. No, we don't want a limb-launched coaster. We'll just want to spam this design. Okay, we're almost passing the 2-hour mark now. Of course, for a large part caused by me failing the Inca scenario twice. But yeah, that scenario is a bit tricky sometimes at the beginning. I should probably try to make up a strategy for that scenario that's more consistent. I was pondering to repay part of my loan, but the interest in this scenario is quite low, so it's probably best to not even bother with that. Okay, this should get us enough guests. It is getting quite crowded here, so maybe I'll have to make some extra paths here. Good thing about these paths is that they're flanked by many trees, so that should get some guests to comment on how beautiful the scenery is. Okay, we're nearing the goal now. Let's add some handymen. Entertainers. Okay. Final scenario. The Rainforest Plateau. Okay, free park entrance. The corkscrew coaster is available right off the bat. Let's see how much money we can borrow. Okay, 30,000. This final scenario is going to be laughably easy. So we're gonna take this roller coaster and we're gonna spam it. Surprise, surprise. Oh wait, actually let's play at normal speed, just so these coasters don't lose value. Because we need a value of to 75,000, if I saw that correctly. I will need quite a bit of these for that. They're all really cheap, but they add quite a considerate amount of value to the park. Nope. Actually, I'll just put it in test mode. Okay, we should have reached the end. There we go. Almost forgot to stop the time. So, that was all of the Wacky World scenarios. First, South America, the Inca Lost City. It took me 3 tries. It's a bit of a tricky scenario because your park rating cannot drop under 700. It's quite easy to run out of money in that scenario. I guess that was the most tricky one. And of course, Rollercoaster Heaven, the scenario where you have to build 10 roller coasters. That one also takes a bit of time, but thankfully there's many pre-built designs that you can use in that park, and that you just have to modify to reach the extra length, or just that extra excitement, or both. Anyway, I never really played these scenarios. I had the Wacky World expansion pack as when I was younger, but I found the scenarios a bit boring, to be honest. But now that I play them in the speedrun, they're actually not that bad. Most of the scenarios look really pretty. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching this speedrun. Maybe I'll come back to this one later. What makes most of these scenarios easy is that you can just remove a lot of scenery and make tons of money. I don't know if I'm gonna do the time twister scenarios as well, but they will probably be a bit more tricky because they're with the scenery from those scenario from that expansion pack. Difficult word. The scenery from that expansion pack usually costs money to remove, so that's probably a bad thing. Anyway, that was it. I hope you enjoyed watching, and see you again for the next speedrun. See you later.